Hey everyone, greetings from sunny Hollywood, California. So you made it through high school and you're ready to take the next step. Why not an exciting career in the awesome field of sound engineering? You can work on records, do live sound, work on awesome bands, and have an amazing time doing it! Yeah. There's just one problem. You have to deal with musicians. Okay, a lot of people have been asking for this video. And you know, after about 2 decades of making records for indie bands, I've definitely blundered my way through a project or two. Now, while recording bands can be rewarding from time to time, it's also aggravating and infuriating most of the time. If you've got dreams of changing the face of music, well, let me stop you right there and I'll tell you this. Make sure you start with realistic expectations. Records are made very different than they were 20 years ago. And unfortunately, some recording schools are kind of stuck in the past and haven't acknowledged the seismic shift in the music industry. Instead of recording a full album front to back, edit, mix, and maybe even master, you're probably going to be asked to track drums or just mix. Why? Because when it comes to rock and metal anyway, bands will do most of the tracking in their own homes to save cost. They'll record the guitars, bass, and maybe even vocals on their own, and then it's going to be your job to clean up that mess. Get ready for endless fun-filled hours of trying to mix guitar tracks with nasty radio interference baked right in, or out-of-key guitar strings ringing away because the band never noticed how bad it sounded. But if you do manage to work with a band that wants to track the record with you, well, that's a whole different set of problems. Ask the band how long they expect to take to record the material and then triple it. You just can't account for what's gonna go wrong during a session. Guitar's not set up properly, bassists who want to track a metal record with 4-year-old strings, drum sets with the skins held together by duct tape. Bands will bring in every conceivable piece of utter shite in the known universe with the expectation of making music on it. And then look at you like it's your fault that they don't sound like the gods of Olympus coming across on the speakers! So, you're gonna have to wear a lot of hats in the studio. There's a little more to it than just say, okay, Lenny, let's try it again, this time with more feeling. Yeah, you're gonna have to learn how to solder so you can fix broken cables on the spot, or broken input jacks. Knowing how to set up guitars is also a huge plus, because someone is going to have to get the band's broken down instruments into recording shape. And above all, don't expect the bass player to know how to change his own strings. That's gonna be your job. You're gonna have all sorts of fun when it's time to track them as well. Get ready for a lot of blank stares and lame excuses. You're also gonna have to be referee, as some of the bands do tend to fight with themselves. You'll also have to be counselor, psychiatrist, cheerleader, financial advisor, marketing director, and janitor. Because you're dealing with people who can't count to 4 or don't know where beat 1 is. Why in the world would you ever expect them to clean up after themselves? And if you wind up sharing a recording space with other engineers, make sure you're not double booked. Set up the same calendar with everybody who uses the spot so you don't run into conflicts. Big help. So when you're looking for groups to work with, keep this in mind. Everyone has an amp sim and a drum machine at home. You'll need to be able to offer them something they can't do themselves. Whether it's tracking live drums or having an awesome guitar amp collection, make sure you can approach the band with some sort of value for their money. And keep this in mind. The 2 things the band cares about more than anything else are how long it will take and how much it will cost. Everything else is secondary. That's not to say they won't bust your chops on completely unnecessary bullshit. Of course they will. You're gonna get the guys who insist on recording vocals on a vintage Neumann U47 because apparently every other mic is complete garbage in comparison. Want to have some fun? Ask them why they need to record at a U47 and watch the bullshit fly. You're also going to run into the same issue when it comes to mic preamps and outboard. Sure, it's great to have a real Neve 1073, but there are plenty of incredible alternatives out there. Same thing with the 1176 and the LA2A. Sure, they're nice to have, but the stuff made by Stan will do the exact same job and not cost you an arm and a leg. Do they sound the same? Well, they're probably so close that nobody would actually be able to tell the difference in a blind test. However, people do tend to listen with their eyes, so convincing potential clients that what you have will fit the bill can be rather challenging. If you're in that situation, it's best to play them some of your mixes and ask, well, would this sound any better with a real 1176? And keep this in mind. Even if they're insisting on the real brand name label on your gear, they sure won't want to pay you a premium for the privilege of having it on their record. And it's always the guys who've never actually used any of this shit who insist on using the real thing. Musicians love to spew bullshit in some lame attempt to make it seem like they actually have knowledge, even if they have no fucking clue about what a piece of gear does or when to use it. And if you're recording on a Windows PC, get ready to explain that yes, PCs are perfectly capable of recording music. And no, you do not have to have a Mac to make a good sounding record. Word to the wise, if the band is from out of town, make sure they get a hotel. Do not let them stay at your place. That just opens up a whole new set of problems and you'll be washing vomit out of the bedsheets before you know it. Seriously, I remember recording Woods of Ypres back in 2004 and walking into my studio on day 4 of tracking and gagging on the hideous stench that was emanating from it. Picture 5 guys in an airtight room for 4 straight days. All of those farts are going to add up. There's just not enough money in the world to make me ever want to go through that again. Now, when it comes to actually tracking a band, do try to keep your mind on the session. Yes, I know it can be mind-numbing watching the reincarnation of Sid Vicious try and record his bass takes for longer than 4 seconds at a time, but if you keep leaving the room to call your girlfriend, chances are the band is not going to be impressed with you and they will tell their friends. Word of mouth is your best advertising, and your career is at the mercy of whoever you're working with. So shut off your cell phone and pay attention to the band and try to squeeze something worthwhile out of them. If you did the smart thing and got an hourly rate, remember that they're paying you for your time. Make sure they're getting their money's worth. Oh yeah, and if something isn't working, don't keep cranking your master output volume up on your monitors, hoping that the problem is magically going to fix itself. Because when you do get things working properly, you'll wind up blasting yourself and your clients with something way too freaking loud. Nope, never made that mistake, not even once. Now, as the project progresses, it's very easy to get bogged down and obsessed over details. Details that ultimately don't serve the song and do nothing but burn up studio time and the client's budget. It's bad enough that the artist will be obsessed over things that in the long term are pretty meaningless. Make sure you're not adding fuel to that fire. If you start second guessing yourself in front of the client, they will lose confidence in you and start questioning your every move. And that is absolutely not the way to make a record. And when it comes to details, nitpicking every single note, every single drum beat, and manipulating them so they're perfectly in tune and in time with each other ultimately makes the music suffer. There are a million bands out there that sound perfect, and quite frankly, every single one of them is about as exciting as an hour in church. Fuck, I think I'd rather listen to Sunseed.
Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is my friend. Jesus is a friend of mine. I have a friend in Jesus. Jesus is a friend of mine. Jesus is my friend.
At least that song has some life to it. Remember this, a cookie cutter approach makes cookie cutter music. So if you do manage to make your way through the project and somehow manage to convince the band to make some art instead of some enhanced bullshit, never, under any circumstances, give out anything until you get paid first. Stand your ground on this one. They may try to talk shit about you after this, but you've got the perfect counter-argument. What? I'm an asshole because I want to get paid for my work? If you hand out a finished mix before you're paid, there is a very good chance that you'll never see that band again. Sure, you could sue them, but what for? It's not like they've got any money. Hey guys, if you liked the video, be sure to subscribe as I post every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. If you want to learn more about recording, check out one of my tutorials or one of my gear reviews if you want the actual honest truth about a piece of equipment. Till next time, stay metal, my friends.